As the name implies, Google Drive Presentation is actually a cloud-based tool created by Google. So here we are at www.google.com, and we'll go here to not Gmail, but Drive, and we'll sign in. So the same sign-in information you would use for your Gmail account, you'll use here. We'll click sign in, and this will load up all of the Google Drive items that I've created, and you can see there are quite a few different ones here. But what you'll want to do is you'll want to go over to create and select presentation. Now the presentation will open up with the thematics that they have for the presentations, and here you can see they're all different types. This might be starting to remind you of PowerPoint because you are able to change your presentation backgrounds and themes in that application as well. So with this one, in thinking about the type of poem that I'm using, which is actually Robert Frost's The Road Not Taken, I think I'll do something really simple, not to compete with my images. So a simple dark background is what I'll use for this presentation. So I've selected it and I'll click OK. And as you can see, it loads up the theme of the dark background, and I have the opportunity to go in. It says click to add title and click to add subtitle. So again, similar to PowerPoint, it's just click and plug in your information. But the first thing before I do any of that, I want to title my presentation. And so again, I am doing The Road, if I can get this spelled right, Road Not Taken, and OK. And now you can see it's saved here. And if I ever want to go back and change it, you can see with my mouse just hovering over it, it says click to change title, and you can change that all at once. One of the things that I love about Google Drive is that it automatically saves your changes. So every couple of seconds, you'll see that all changes saved in Drive. So it's no need to go in and do the typical file, drop down, save, create the save title, and then click save again because it's already doing that automatically. So to go back in, we'll change this to The Road Not Taken, and we'll go here, written by Robert Frost, images by Candace Daniels. So now as you can see, our first page, our opening screen to our production is actually complete. So we'll go and we'll add another page. Now you can simply click over here on the left hand side, this red button, and it'll bring up one variation of a slide. And or you can go and see the different layouts they have. So you can see it says new slide with layout, and it shows you the different types that they offer. And the one that we want to use is the blank one because we don't want to add any text to our screens. We want the images to be our main focus. So I clicked on that one, and you can see it just brings up a completely black background. Now, if I wanted to change this for some reason, a couple of weeks later, I've decided now I want to add text, I can go in and create a new slide with, let's say, title and body, and you see how it changes the dimensions of the slide. It gives you a place to add your title and then another place to either add an image or text. So I'll go ahead and I'll delete this, and I'll show you how to do that. You go into Edit, and delete slide. So if you ever find an instance where you created a slide that you don't need anymore, you'll follow that edit, delete slide option. So now let's add an image to this slide. We'll go up to Insert, bring up the drop down menu, and click on Image. Now you have a couple of different options for what you can do to add an image. You can either upload an image, you can take a snapshot, you can use by URL, or you can go into items that have been shared with you in your album or further along in your Drive options. But what I want to do is I want to search, and it brings up different items, different images you can search from. So you have stock images, you have life images, and you have Google images. I usually find the best results when I just leave it on Google images. However, if you wanted to change to any of these, you could click on stock image and you see it changes it up here, or life image and it changes it there, and Google image. You can also change it back by clicking the drop down and selecting there. So there are a couple of options for that. So I think when I read the first line of Robert Frost's The Road Not Taken, it it speaks to me. It says two roads diverged in a yellow wood. So for that line of the text, what comes to mind for me is a split in the roads, and a road sign, because road signs, when it's telling you something that's happening with the roads, are usually yellow. And so I'll see if I can find a split road sign and see what that brings up. And then I just clicked enter, but you could have clicked the search button as well. And these are the images that come up. And so you can scroll down and see if there's one that meets your fancy, if there's one you like better than the other, what the options are. See if there's anyone that actually depicts what you're thinking in your mind. And I actually think the image that most closely resonates with what I see in my mind when I read that line is this one here, because it's the yellow. It shows like you could very well be right here and see two paths just going towards the distance, not knowing where they'll take you, especially if you're standing like right at this intersection here. You don't necessarily know what's up along this bend here and what life has to offer. So I'm going to go with this one and I'll select that, and then I'll click select, and you can see it adds it to your slide here. So I'm just going to resize it by grabbing the corner, holding my mouse and dragging it out, and then I'll go back, I'll lift it up some, and then I'll make it a little bit wider on this side. And I want the image to be the main focus of the slide. So again, I'll use the lines, as you can see, that pop up to try and get my image dead center. There we go. We got both lines. Can you see that? Both lines of red, which means it's directly centered vertically and horizontally. And again, if you saw that, it just said all changes saved in Drive. So now even if I close out of this, when I open back up, all of this information will still be in here. So in actuality, my poem will go from opening up here to this, and the first line will read, two roads diverged in a yellow wood. And then I can go on and add a new slide, which it copies the same layout of the slide previously used, except for when you're going from a title slide to a new slide. But in any other circumstances, if you just click the plus button, it'll give you a slide exactly the same as the previous slide. So that's great, because then you can go back in. You don't have to constantly change the slide layout. But one other thing I want to do here to make it easier for everyone to see what's happening or why I chose this image for this line is to add the actual line. So two rows dive in. And then we can go to slide 2. And so I would continue on in this very same fashion until I found images for every line or every combination of line within the poem. Once I'm done with this, let's say I've gone through, I've created all of my images, and now I'm ready to share this with the group. I'm ready to post this for everyone to see what I've come up with. I'll go up here, I'll click File and Share. And as you can see, it brings up all of this information, sharing settings. Here is actually the link to share, and you can share it via any of these platforms, but we just really want to copy the link and add this link into the discussion section. But before we do that, you want to change this who has access. Right now it's private and only people that I share the link with will have access, and who are listed in my access, who I give access to, will have access to it. But I want to change that so that anyone with the link has access to see this. And then I'll go in and I'll save that. So now anyone that comes across this link will be able to get into my Google Doc and see my Google presentation and see what has been done and add to it, update it, change it, however they see fit. And for this application, that's perfectly fine. So once I've done that, then I'll actually take this information, and I don't have anything open right now to post it to, but I'll show you just in a Word document that's already highlighted. So I'll right click and I'll copy, and I'll just go down here to a Word document, and I can delete this. This was just something random. And you can see when I Control V, this is the link. So now if I were to go back up to this and press Control and click that, it should open up the presentation. I have a lot of things open right now, so we'll see if this opens. And it's already open. That's what it's telling me. So I'm actually done with this, but here it has popped up, editing of Google Doc presentations right here, and it shows you that's what it'll come up with. And then if I want to go to next slide, there you go. And as you can see, you don't see any of the text there, which is good, because then individuals, when you go to record this using Screencast-O-Matic, they'll only see the images and hear your voice through this. So clicking back to the first slide and to the next slide. So you can see it takes you through the process, and I'll close out of this. And now I am done with this. I can roll that up and click done, and it takes me back into my presentation. And that is the way you create a Google Drive presentation and how you add images to that presentation. And as you can see, there are all types of things you can do to add to the page. If you want to create a text box, which we're not using for this application, but for future applications, you can use images. As opposed to going up to insert an image, you can click right here to add an image, and it brings up the same thing. If you decide that it says you just need something that comes to mind is a red square, and you don't necessarily want to find a red square image, you can create your own by simply clicking shape, going into shapes. Here's a square, and it comes up rectangle. And you can see there it is. And now we'll go in, and you see the little paint bucket pouring out paint, and it says fill color. We'll do the drop down. We'll add a red square, and then we want to change the outline of that color also to be red. So we'll add that in. And now you have a red square, and that would depict the line, whatever line that was in your poem. So hopefully you can see there's a lot of different items that you can use in the Google Drive presentation to create images necessary to depict your poem. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me at any time. I am here to assist you. Good luck.